Ever feel like someone's smile doesn't quite match the energy behind it? Like there's something unspoken in the air, a strange tension that your spirit picks up before your mind can even name it? Dear Leo, this is not your imagination. It's your inner flame sensing the presence of envy, subtle manipulation, or a quiet attempt to dim your light. And today, we're going to talk about that, and why the universe has finally decided it's time to bring justice. Welcome to Eternal Mindfulness, a sacred space where energy speaks louder than words and your cosmic journey is always honored. This video is a deep and personal reading for Leo, and it's no accident that you've been led here. The fact that you're watching this now is a message in itself. Something is shifting in your world, beneath the surface, and Spirit is asking you to pause, breathe, and listen. Because someone around you isn't who they seem. And the karma they've summoned? It's coming faster and harder than they ever expected. But don't worry. This isn't about fear. This is about clarity. This is about empowerment. And this is about you remembering who you are. A soul ruled by the sun. Born to radiate. Destined to lead, not through noise, but through undeniable presence. You don't need to shout to be heard. Your energy walks into the room 5 minutes before you do, and those who haven't yet healed their shadows, they feel it. And sometimes, they resent it. That's what this video is for. To help you understand why your light is so triggering to some, and how to protect that light while still staying soft, still staying open, still staying you. But before we begin this journey together, I want to take a moment to truly thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for every like, every comment, and every time you hit that subscribe button. Every single act of support helps us grow this sacred space and bring these transformative messages to even more people who need them. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you. Your presence isn't just appreciated, it's essential. And trust me, Leo, you're going to want to stay until the very end today. Because what the universe is revealing is nothing short of stunning. A quiet betrayal. A hidden truth. And the powerful way your light is about to rise above it all. Now, tell me, what energy pulled you here today? Was it a number you kept seeing? A strange dream? A name that keeps echoing in your heart? Drop your angel number below. Maybe it's 111, or 555, or 717. Whatever number resonates, it's a sign from your guides that this message was meant for you. So get comfortable. Breathe deeply. We're about to uncover who's been watching you, and why the universe is stepping in now. Let's begin. It begins subtly, perhaps you don't even notice it at first. The way conversations shift when you enter a room. The flicker of hesitation in someone's smile. The way people suddenly become more self-aware in your presence, adjusting their tone, their posture, their guard. It's not because you're doing anything intimidating, Leo. It's because you are being. And for someone ruled by the sun, simply being is an act of illumination. The sun, your planetary ruler, does not ask for permission to rise. It simply does. And in doing so, it brings clarity, reveals beauty, and yes, casts shadows. That's the nature of light. Not to divide or dominate, but to show what has been hidden. Your essence as a Leo carries this same power, not because you try to expose others, but because your authenticity naturally contrasts with what's artificial. You embody life force energy. You represent truth without pretense, confidence without performance, and joy that isn't borrowed from approval. And not everyone is ready for that level of presence. Your energy doesn't have to be loud to be felt. It's not about taking up space, but about filling the space with sincerity, with warmth, with something real. The strength of your spirit, just like the tarot card bearing that name, is not about force, but about calm dominion. A lion that doesn't roar to prove itself, because it knows. That knowing is unsettling for some. In the presence of someone so sure, so centered, those who live through masks may suddenly realize their own aren't holding up so well. You may have noticed this already. That awkward moment when your laughter feels too free in a room of restraint. When your confidence is mistaken for arrogance. When your silence gets interpreted as judgment. But here's the truth, they're not reacting to you. They're reacting to the mirror you unintentionally hold up, simply by being in your power. The brightness of your spirit reflects where others have dimmed theirs. It's not your fault. And it's not your burden to fix either. All living things move toward the light. But not everyone has the courage to let it in. Some try to block it, or worse, dim it in others, because they fear what the light might reveal in themselves. There is a deep lesson hidden here, one rooted in an understanding that everything is connected, and that energy, like water, seeks its own level. When your light meets someone's shadow, it will stir something. It might awaken healing, or it might awaken resistance. Your only responsibility is to stay true. In that way, your presence becomes an invitation. Not to compete, not to defend, but to remind. And even if that reminder causes discomfort, it can also be the seed of transformation. When people react strongly to you, ask yourself gently, not, what did I do wrong, but, what am I awakening? That shift in question alone returns you to your center. You are not here to perform. You are here to radiate. And just like the sun never dims to suit the moon, you are not here to shrink to make others more comfortable. The light you carry, Leo, is not ornamental. It's necessary. It nourishes, it reveals, and yes, sometimes it exposes. But it always invites growth. Those who truly see you won't flinch when the light hits their face. They'll smile back, eyes wide open. So if someone's been shrinking around your shine, don't see it as rejection. See it as a reminder. That light never harms, it simply asks, are you ready to see? And if they're not, that's okay. Your job is not to pull anyone out of the dark. Your job is to stay lit. To live like the sun, open, whole, and without apology. Because the moment you stop asking for permission to glow, is the moment the world starts remembering how beautiful true light really is. There's a particular kind of silence that speaks louder than words, a pause too long between a compliment and a glance, a smile that doesn't quite touch the eyes. You felt it, haven't you, Leo? That strange weight in the room when someone close to you acts like they're cheering you on, but deep down, something just doesn't feel aligned. They might praise your accomplishments, but there's an undercurrent of tension that leaves you wondering why you feel more drained than uplifted after being with them. That feeling is not a flaw in your perception, it is your inner knowing, quietly guiding you toward clarity. This is where the power of self-awareness becomes more important than ever. When someone envies your light, they don't always come with obvious malice. More often, they show up as friends, co-workers, even family members, those who've seen you grow and evolve, and who now find themselves uncomfortable with your shine. Not because you've done anything wrong, but because your evolution has disrupted their sense of control, or highlighted the stagnation they've been avoiding within themselves. Their discomfort is not your responsibility to fix, but it is your responsibility to acknowledge. The cards that often show up in readings like this, 7 of Swords, the Moon, 5 of Wands, speak to energies of quiet manipulation, unspoken competition, and shadows hiding behind familiarity. These aren't the enemies you see coming. These are the ones who wrap their envy in politeness, their resentment in concern. And that's why it's so confusing. You start second-guessing yourself. You wonder if you're being too sensitive, too dramatic, too self-centered. But when you start doubting your own instincts, you disconnect from your greatest guide, your intuitive sense of what feels true and what doesn't. This sense of energetic mismatch, though subtle, has real impact. It wears down your confidence like water dripping onto stone. Not because the people around you have said anything cruel, but because their energy contradicts their words. And you, as someone ruled by the sun, feel that dissonance more deeply than most. You were born to radiate. When that radiance is met with inauthenticity, you feel it like a cold wind cutting through warm skin. There's a timeless teaching that says, the truth doesn't need to be proven, it only needs to be observed. In relationships, this means you don't need to catch someone in a lie or have concrete evidence of their envy to honor what you're feeling. If your body tightens, if your heart feels small in their presence, that's enough. There is wisdom in your resistance. And there is liberation in trusting it. It's also helpful to remember that not all envy comes from hatred. Sometimes it's born from pain, from lack, from a deep longing to be seen or valued. That doesn't excuse it, but it can help soften your reaction. You don't have to carry anger. You only have to carry discernment. Compassion doesn't mean keeping people close who chip away at your peace. It means letting them go in love, so you can both find clarity. If you've ever walked away from a conversation and thought, "Why do I feel so unsettled?" or sat with someone whose words were sweet but whose presence felt sharp, your body was sending you a message. It's not always about confrontation. Sometimes the most powerful response is quiet distance. The kind that protects your heart without needing explanation. The kind that says, "I see you, but I choose me." So if you've experienced this before, if you've smiled through unease or stayed too long in someone else's shadow, type, "I knew it," in the comments. Not just to affirm what you've lived, but to remind yourself that your intuition is still alive, still accurate, and still worthy of your trust. Sometimes the most powerful movements in life happen in silence. Not through dramatic endings or public confrontations, but through quiet shifts, an unseen hand turning the wheel of balance back into place. When someone has wronged you or tried to dim your light, it's natural to want some form of justice, a confirmation that what you felt was real and that it mattered. But real justice, the kind that lasts, doesn't arrive because we chase it. It arrives when we step aside and allow the larger rhythm of the universe to take over. There's a principle, deeply rooted in both ancient wisdom and natural law, that everything we put out, every thought, every action, every intention, returns to us in time. Not always in the same form, and not always on our schedule, but it returns. It's not punishment. It's not revenge. It's reflection. And reflection is one of the purest ways growth can happen, for us and for those who may have caused us harm. In numerology, the number 8 represents this cycle perfectly. It flows endlessly in its shape, a continuous loop of give and receive, cause and effect, energy and echo. It teaches us that nothing is ever truly lost or ignored. Energy finds its way home. So when someone has acted from envy, deceit, or manipulation, it's not your job to ensure they pay. It's your job to stay steady, to continue choosing clarity, and to trust that what needs to be revealed will surface in its own time. There's a phrase I often return to: the sun doesn't compete with the moon. It just shines. And eventually, the moon retreats. When you live in alignment with truth, you don't have to argue for your value. You simply continue living it. Your presence alone becomes a mirror, and sometimes that reflection is what others aren't ready to face. But don't let that stop you. Let it strengthen your resolve to move with integrity, even when no one is watching. Especially then. The tarot reminds us of this too. The Justice card shows that balance is always seeking itself. It's not emotional, it's essential. The Wheel of Fortune reminds us that nothing stays fixed, that energy turns, rises, and falls. And the Ace of Swords brings the clarity we need when the time is right. These archetypes work like cosmic markers. They don't rush the outcome, but they guarantee one will come. And that alone can be enough to let go of the need to see results immediately. When your peace is disturbed by others, the most healing thing you can do is not react impulsively, but respond mindfully. Write it down. Speak it out in a safe space. Take it to paper before you take it to people. Your words, once released through journaling or reflection, begin to loosen the emotional knot inside. You don't need to carry resentment to hold boundaries. Boundaries built from wisdom are stronger than those built from pain. Compassion doesn't mean allowing harm. It means recognizing that those who tried to hurt you were acting from their own lack of grounding, of worth, of connection. You don't need to internalize that. What they projected wasn't yours to carry, and now you get to choose what you hold and what you release. There is immense power in choosing stillness over spite. In recognizing that your peace is not a weakness, but a message, that you trust the unfolding, that you don't need to control the outcome to believe in justice. You just need to keep showing up with a clear heart and a steady spirit. And as you do, the universe keeps score, not to punish, but to bring everything into alignment. So let them wonder why you stopped engaging. Let them sit with the absence of your energy. That silence is not emptiness, it's sacred space. It's the universe preparing a response that no words could ever match. And when it arrives, it won't need to be announced. It will speak for itself. Not every form of self-love looks like a bubble bath or a vacation. Sometimes, it looks like quietly stepping back from someone who drains your energy. Sometimes, it looks like saying no without explanation. And more often than not, it looks like protecting your peace in ways that no one else may notice, but you feel it deeply. After everything we've explored, the shadows that surfaced, the truths that whispered through intuition, the karmic balance beginning to unfold, This is the part where your light becomes your responsibility. And not just the kind of light you share with the world, but the quiet, sacred light you keep for yourself. Protecting that inner light is an act of devotion to your own becoming. It's not selfish. It's wise. Imagine your energy like a flame. It needs oxygen, space, and protection from the wind to stay alive. That wind can come from stress, toxic dynamics, or even from overextending yourself for people who don't pour back into you. And just like a fire that flickers when it's unattended, your energy dims when you forget to care for its source. When it comes to your physical well-being, the body reflects what the spirit holds. Chronic stress, fatigue, or tension in the chest are often signs that your energy has been reaching out too far without return. Taking care of your health isn't just about longevity, it's about clarity. Eating more alkaline foods, getting sunlight, and resting when your body asks are not indulgent, they're foundational. Every time you listen to your body's request for nourishment, you're affirming your right to be well, to feel strong, and to move through life with vitality. In your work or creative life, the message is simple: if something feels too small for your spirit, it probably is. If you felt stifled or boxed in professionally, consider this a sign that it's time to build a new corner of the world where your ideas can breathe. Start small if needed, but start. Sometimes a new journal, a few minutes of uninterrupted quiet, or the courage to pitch an idea is all it takes to shift the energy around you. That little flicker of effort can light a much bigger fire. When it comes to finances, remember this: money is energy. And just like you wouldn't leave your door wide open at night, you don't need to share your financial goals or movements with people who haven't earned your trust. Your plans are sacred. Your dreams are valuable. Hold them like seeds. Not everyone needs to see them before they sprout. And in love, perhaps most tenderly of all, choose relationships that reflect the brightness of your soul, not those that try to dim it. You don't need to prove your worth through overgiving or by shrinking to fit someone else's comfort zone. Real love, healthy love, will recognize your fire and tend it with care, not competition. Astrologically, this moment is ripe for transformation. A recent full moon or Venus alignment with your sign may be highlighting what you've outgrown and what's truly aligned with your heart's evolution. These cosmic movements aren't random, they're invitations. Invitations to step into deeper self-leadership, to say, I choose me. I choose my peace. I choose the version of myself that doesn't abandon her own light to be accepted by those still hiding from theirs. So let me ask you, honestly and gently, are you ready to reset your boundaries? Are you ready to become the protector of your own sacred flame? This isn't about cutting others off, it's about cutting off what dims your joy. And as you do, you don't just protect your light, you become it. More grounded, more present, more whole. You don't need to raise your voice to prove your worth. Your presence alone, grounded in self-respect and quiet confidence, is more powerful than anything you could ever say. The ones who can't handle your light were never meant to walk beside you on this part of the path. And maybe that's the lesson, that you don't have to hold on to anyone or anything that dims what was never meant to be dimmed. Your fire is not here to comfort those hiding in the dark, it's here to lead you forward, to light your own way, and perhaps, in doing so, to guide others who are ready to step into the light themselves. So if today's message resonated with you in any way, let that be your sign. A sign that you're not alone in what you felt. A sign that the shifts happening around you have a deeper meaning. And more importantly, a sign that you're ready to protect your peace, to honor your energy, and to trust your intuition without apology. Take a moment now and ask yourself, where in your life have you been giving away too much of your fire? Where have you stayed too long, doubted your instincts, or silenced your truth to keep the peace for others? And what would change if you chose, today, to draw a new boundary? To believe that your light is not too much, and never has been? Comment below with the angel number that's been following you lately. Maybe it's 111, reminding you that you're beginning a new chapter. Or 444, reminding you that you are protected. Maybe it's 555, whispering that change is already here. Whatever the number, let it be your cosmic confirmation. And while you're here, go ahead and like this video if you felt seen, heard, or inspired in any way. It helps more than you know. Every interaction, every share, every moment you choose to support this space allows eternal mindfulness to continue creating more light, more clarity, and more connection for this beautiful community we're all a part of. If you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. You don't want to miss what's coming next, because the energy unfolding right now, it's not just powerful. It's personal. And it's here to show you that your journey is divinely guided, step by step, moment by moment. Leo, this is your time. Not to prove, not to perform, but simply to embody. And the more you trust that, the more the universe will respond in kind. So keep walking in your light. Keep holding your head high. And most importantly, keep choosing yourself, not out of pride, but out of love. Because the most sacred flame you'll ever protect is the one burning quietly inside your chest. And once you claim that, nothing outside of you can ever steal it again.